We're gonna go ahead and actually chop them up. We're gonna re-say that. That was all over the place. But hey, actually, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good because I'd rather it be like raw. All right, guys. So this is the homie Gordon. I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys a dope demonstration on how we would do a crop. So we're gonna go ahead and do our scissor work first, and also after that, we're gonna go ahead and give him a fade. So today we're gonna be talking about how I start the haircut, places that I would start, sectioning. So a little bit to expect from my YouTube channel is gonna be a lot of like scissor techniques, a lot of fading techniques, and things that modern barbering is kind of evolving into. So I'm kind of excited to bring you guys this channel and bring you guys a little bit something different. Like I said, it's gonna be very raw. If I slip up, drop my comb, let me live. But at the same time, I'm excited to bring this to you guys, and I'm gonna be talking to you guys throughout the entire tutorial. And for the most part, it's gonna be step by step. I won't be editing that much, and we'll just get right to it. All right, so you guys see his texture here. Hair was dyed not too long ago. So right now we're just kind of worried about cutting his ends off. He was gonna keep a lot of his length on top. Gonna probably dust off the edges a little bit just to give him a nice shape. So we're gonna go ahead and dampen the hair. So my biggest thing when you're actually cutting at all, make sure that the hair is damp, or else the hair won't be easy to section through. And one thing to learn also about pre-lightened hair, it's brittle. So a lot of that water is gonna evaporate really quickly. So what we're gonna do is make sure it's nice and damp. And the best place to put water is in the root of the hair. That's where it accepts the most water and it stays the most damp. I'm gonna be starting from the cowlick area. Okay, because in the cowlick area, it is going to tell us in the direction that we want to actually cut the hair a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to start our sectioning from the cowlick area. At this point lays down, everything at this point goes this way, okay? So now we have at least a good amount of direction to where we're going to start beginning our sections. See here, this is where his cowlick lays. So what I want to do is build the section from this cowlick to his fringe area. And what that does is, if you guys notice here, the comb test, if the comb falls off at any point, it's where the head begins to round. So what I want you guys to do is create a section where the head begins to round. I see this area, right? Everything after this point begins to fall. So what we have to do is create a section to separate the curvature of the head. So we're gonna put the head down. Your clipper, you want to be able to scooping motion, all right? So the idea is to not have any hard lines. Go ahead and debulk that area. Clipper over comb. I'm also putting a 1 guard on there. The 1 guard is gonna make that line a little bit softer. Okay. You see what it did? It softened that line up a little bit. And remember, we're flicking out and you're using a C motion here. Okay, the C motion will allow us to create a very soft guide. We're gonna go ahead and work on our layers. So for those who don't know much about layers, layering is a removal technique. So we're using it to remove weight in this entire area here, okay? So we have section number 1. This is gonna be our first initial guide. We're gonna go ahead, cut our second section. So this section number 2 was brought over to section number 1. So what we're doing is we're building weight as we get to the roundness of the head. Okay, so section 1, 2 to 1, 3 to 2, 4 to 3. And what that's doing is building weight as we get to the roundness of the head. And then continue our layering. And everything after this cowlick area will be a different type of haircut. We're only layering the back portion here. So the next thing here we're gonna do is, we're gonna go ahead and go diagonal forward, okay? So we're gonna go section 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way down, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and bring the next section to the previous. So section 1, 2 to 1, 3 to 2, 4 to 3, 5 to 4. Okay, and what that's gonna do is gonna allow the hair to get longer as we get to the front. So we're gonna over direct this hair. You see that guide up top? Okay, section 2 to 1. You see what I'm doing? I'm over directing to keep that length, and I'm getting shorter as I get to the bottom. Same thing, 3 to 2. Short point up top, 1, 2. Go ahead and continue to the shortest point at the bottom. So what we're doing is we're building this shape. All right, we're using the shortest point at the bottom and cutting it to the highest point. And what that's doing, it's building a triangular shape that we can use to guide around the head. So this shape here is actually building weight where the head rounds. 2 to 1. All right. We're just gonna go ahead and run through this so you guys can kind of see how it's gonna look. And I'm coming from behind so I can bring my old guide into my new guide. Short point. You guys see how that length is starting to see. Typically I have a debulking tool, whether it's a AAA or a trimmer that you don't really like to use for lineups, anything to use to debulk the hair. Today this is gonna be my Zero Guard that I'm using to debulk the hair. Next up is our shaver. Remember I'm using the bottom part of the shaver just to keep it from cutting too short. We're gonna go ahead and go with our open, lever open. Make sure your half is extremely clean. Go closed, lever all the way closed, and just flick out lightly. If you're flicking with the C motion, it should happen pretty fluently. Just flick very lightly, and then go halfway notch. Clean up that bottom area. Half all the way closed, clean up that bottom area. Okay, there's our 0 to half, 1 1/2 open now. Okay, just to debulk this area. Now we're gonna go 1 guard, all the way open. With that 1 guard and 1 1/2 open, what you're gonna do is make sure you flick out. Like I said, be very cautious of where you're working. All the way closed. And what I'm doing here is I'm just hitting that bottom line only. Okay, be very cautious of where you're cutting. See that 1 guard is slowly blending into that 1 1/2. Comb here, my 1 1/2 guard, and I'm just gonna lightly blend that, lightly. I don't wanna take too much off from our original shape. I'm just blending that shape in, okay? And this is real lightly. I'm not cutting too much. This is, like I said, this is more tasteful here than it is actually removing weight. Scissor over comb here. I just want to lightly touch this up. Like I said, with the scissor over comb, I'm just softening this line up, okay? Same steps here. Open here, okay? Open, same way as last time, nothing changes. Closed, all the way closed. Knock that bottom line out. You guys see that bottom line is gone. This is gonna be the babyless half. So it's a little bit like a half and a 1, but shorter than the 1. I don't know if that made sense, but all the way open here. Closed all the way. Back is blended. I'm gonna go ahead and assess the front fringe area. Looks good for the most part. Actually, we're gonna keep that length on the front. Using Mason sea salt. Couple mists on top. Run your hands through the hair. Make sure that the product is applied throughout the entire haircut. We're gonna go ahead and be using Mason's pomade, matte pomade here. Do a light, a very, very light amount. What I like to do is I like to apply the product right at the roots. It allows them to not have to put too much. Like I said, you don't want to put too much product in your client's hair, so you just want to make sure they have a good routine. And this is where your eye comes in, whatever you feel like is artistic to you. I'm gonna swoop this out this way. We have a mid to high fade here, and we actually built a really nice square shape, as you guys can see. Sits real nice and flush. If you guys have any comments or concerns, definitely message me. But I hope you guys like it. Definitely got a lot more coming, so I appreciate you guys.